Good day, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Ordering Rational Numbers. That's right, today we're going to be ordering rational numbers from least to greatest on this here number line. So let's dive right into it, beginning with the number farthest to the left. That would be 4.5. Or is it? Well, let's plot it on the number line. Because it is a positive 4, we're actually going to start at 0, and we're going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces to the right, and then we'll drop it down halfway between 4 and 5 because 4.5 is the same as 4.5. So let's go ahead and label that as 4.5. And now let's go to our next point. The next point's convenient because it's 0, and that's where we start anyways. So we'll go ahead and drop a dot right there. We'll put a 0 right there. And again, we're able to visualize what order these numbers are in. Now we got negative 2.5. We always start at 0, so let's go back 1, 2, because it's negative. And then halfway between negative 2 and negative 3 is where we would drop negative 2.5. So let's go ahead and erase that and put negative 2.5. And now let's go ahead and do 2. Starting at 0 as always, we're going to go over 1, 2, and we'll drop our dot right there. And let's go ahead and label that as 2. And now we come to negative 5. Negative 5 is going to be 5 units to the left of 0 because it's negative. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Drop a dot right above the negative 5, and we can now label that as negative 5. And then our last one is going to be a fraction. Now, that's 3/4. Because it's a positive 3/4, I'm going to be moving to the right. But it's not quite a whole. So let's split this between 0 and 1 up into 4 pieces. So we do that by cutting it in half, then cutting each of the halves in half. And that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So I'm dealing with fourths right there. Now, because it's 3/4, I'm going to move over 3 of those pieces. So that's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. Let's go ahead and drop a dot right there. So that's where 3/4 lives. Now, we wanted to order them from least to greatest, which I think we've done, because the number on the left is the least, so it would go negative 5, then negative 2.5, then 0, then 3/4, then 2, and then 4.5. Now, hopefully that made sense, but if not, I have some more examples. Let's go ahead and plot these points, beginning with 5. Starting at 0, we're going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to drop down that dot and label that as 5. So let's go ahead and do that. And let's go with negative 1. Negative 1 is going to be 1 unit to the left because it is negative. So we drop our dot right there. And let's label this as negative 1. The next one's going to be negative 3. So negative 3, we're going to go back 1, 2, 3. And we're going to go ahead and drop our dot right there and label that as negative 3. The next one is 1.5. So we're going to go over from 0, 1, and then half of another. So we'll drop our dot right about there. 1.5, same as or equivalent to 1.5, I should say. Label that 1.5. And let's do 1/2. Now remember, half is just halfway between 0 and 1, so we can go ahead and cut it in half, drop a dot right there, and label that as 1/2. And then the last one is going to be 2.75. Let's use this color. We start at 0. We're going to go to the right 1, 2. And because it's 0.75, it's cut up into 4 pieces, cut up into quarters. So we can cut this space in half and then cut each of the halves in half, and we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 spots, or 4 quarters. In this case, it's like $2.75. So we're dealing with 2 3/4. So once again, we're going to start at 0 and go over 1, 2, and then this would be 0.25, 0.50, 0.75. So that's 2.75 right there, or 2 3/4. Let's go ahead and put our dot right there. Erase this stuff right here and label it 2.75. And now we've ordered these from least to greatest. Remember, the number on the left is the least. Then it would be -1, 1/2, 1.5, 2.75, and then 5. Now, if you're still confused, the good news is I have another example. Let's dive right into this. So what we have here is we want to order them from least to greatest. So let's start out with -4.5. Again, we're always starting at 0. So we're going to go back 1, 2, 3, 4. And then halfway between -4 and 5 is -4.5. So let's go ahead and erase that. Label this as negative. Whoops. Got to erase this too. My hand was in the way. There we go. We're going to make this -4.5 for the first dot. The next one's a positive number, so we start at the 0, and we're going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and because it's 5.25, let's go ahead and cut this into fourths, because we know that 1/4 is equivalent to 5.25. So we'll drop our dot right there and label it 5.25. And the next one is going to be 3. We start at 0, we go over 1, 2, 3, and we'll go ahead and drop that down right there. And now the next one's a negative number, which is -2.9, which is almost the opposite of 3, not quite. But because it's negative, we're going to go to the left 1, 2, and because it's 2.9, that's like $2.90 or -$2.90. That means it almost makes it to -3, but not quite. So let's say the dot's approximately right there. So we'll go ahead and label that as -2.9. And now we move on to the next one, 4 1/3. 4 1/3, starting at 0, we're going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, and because it's a third, we'll cut this up into 3 pieces, 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, right? So we got 4 1/3, and because it's just 4 1/3, we're going to go over 1/3 and drop a dot. And let's go ahead and label that. So right there is going to represent, oops, that's 3, and then this is 4 1/3. Now again, we're ordering these from least to greatest. Remember, the further to the left we go, the least the value. The further to the right we go, the greater the value. So -4.5 would be the least, then -2.9, then 3, then 4 1/3, and then 5.25. Now, we're going to go ahead and drive this home with one more example. Let's dive right into it. We got -1/3. Now we're going to start at 0, and we're going to cut the space between 0 and -1 into thirds. See, because then we have -1/3, -2/3, -3/3. But as you know, we just want -1/3. So let's go ahead and drop a dot right there and label it as -1/3. Okay, now let's go ahead with 2.75. We're starting at 0. We're going to go over 1, 2, and then because it's 2.75, it's 2 3/4. We'll cut this up into fourths, right? Because that would be 2.25, 2.50, 2.75. So we'll go ahead and drop our dot right there, and let's clean it up and label it. So this is going to be 2.75. And now we have 1 1/4. This time we're going to go over one whole number. So starting at 0, we're going over one whole number. and then we're going to go over 1/4. So we'll cut this up into fourths. See how that's 4 pieces? That would be 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. But remember, we just want to go over 1 and 1/4. So we're going to go over 1 whole and 1/4 of another, which is why we'll drop our dot right about there. Let's go ahead and label that as 1 and 1/4. The next one is going to be -2. So as always, we'll start at 0 and we'll go back 1, 2, and drop my dot right there. That, my friends, is -2. -2. And the last one is going to be 5.5. So as always, we start at 0, and we're going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and halfway between 5 and 6 for a positive 5.5. I should make that red, huh? And let's clean this up. Label it. This is going to be 5.5. And now, let's see if we ordered them from least to greatest. -2 is the least because it's the furthest to the left. Then -1/3. Then 1 and 1/4. Then 2.75. And then, of course, 5.5. Anyways, hope that was helpful. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Good luck with everything.